Yeah. Yeah, haha. Hey there, YouTube. Okay, let's see. Today is Sunday. It's the start of a new wonderful week. I'm sure this will be ah, a new week. Sunday. Let's see. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's 12:21 right now. Pretty sure it was 12:20 on the dot when I started this a moment ago. Yeah, today is Sunday. It is March 15th, so we're halfway through the month. I'm pretty much at the gym. I was able to get up a little bit on the earlier side today, for the most part, earlier than I usually am. I did get up pretty early yesterday, which probably is playing a part in that. I am parked behind the gym right now. I'm back. When I did my stream, well, I did 2 streams yesterday, only one of which actually posted. So the first one, we got 35 seconds out of what was supposed to be 51 minutes and 35 seconds. So yeah, I was saying yesterday in my second stream that I did, how with the first one, it was just the first 35 seconds that posted, not the first 35 minutes, mind you, but only the first 35 seconds. So yeah, the rest of that entire stream was lost. So depending on how you look at it, I guess technically I did 2 streams yesterday, but we pretty much ended up with 1. But in that second stream that I did, that did post okay, or at least it looks like it did, I was talking about how I was doing that stream from this same location that I'm at now, pretty much, at the gym, in the gym parking lot. Although yesterday, doing those streams, I was parked on the other side, like the main parking area for the gym parking lot. And with that, it was pretty sunny yesterday. It was nice. I mean, it was sunny and warm, but with this particular parking lot, there's really nowhere I can find to park where there's any kind of shade whatsoever. Well, except for, I guess, here where I am now. So that's why here today, doing this now, I am parked behind the building. I probably shouldn't be parked here. Actually, saying that just now, I look over to my right and I see a no parking sign, fire lane tow away zone. You know, like there's garbage, there's dumpsters back here, there's like trucks, like delivery vehicles, but it doesn't seem to be too busy. You know, honestly, if anyone were to come up to the window, I would just be honest and say, hey, I'm just trying to do a stream, and this is the only spot that I could find where my phone wasn't directly in the sun through the windshield. So yeah, in the streams that I was doing yesterday, you know, like my face was, I did that stream before I went into the gym, but even though it was before doing the gym, my face was just really red and kind of puffy and sweaty, and, you know, because I was parked pretty much directly in the sun. And it was a weird feeling because my apartment, as usual, you know, as per lately and for a while this past winter, it's been freezing cold. So like, you know, leaving to come out earlier today, just a little bit ago, I was freezing, absolutely freezing. And same as yesterday, and just same with pretty much always, you know, this time of year and most of the year, since it's really cold here most of the year where I am. But yeah, going out yesterday and being in the other side of this parking lot, like the actual parking lot area, just being parked in the sun that entire time. You know, yeah, the first stream that I tried to do was almost an hour. The second stream that I did, the one that actually looks like it posted okay, that was an hour and a half. So, you know, for over 2 hours, for pretty much, what was that, like 2.5 hours probably, pretty much, it was a while, I was just parked in the sun and there was no shade that I could find around me. My phone was in the sun, I was in the sun, and yeah, I mean, it was really affecting how I felt, and just, it was very uncomfortable, you know. And I was actually too hot. I was too hot for most of that, and it felt really weird. You know, I kept rolling the windows up and down, and when I would leave the windows rolled up, I was too hot, and when I would roll them down, I was getting kind of too cold, but also too hot at the same time. And it was like, I felt like I was experiencing like 10 to 20 different temperatures all at the same time, and like 10 to 20 different seasons. I was saying how where I am, that's just how it kind of is. Like a lot of times, if it's not summer or winter, like especially like, I don't know, spring and fall, like in between the extremes, like the constant extreme coldness and the constant extreme unbearable heat of the summer, in between those times, it's like just 20 different seasons in a 24-hour period. You can get 20 different seasons here in 1 hour, you know, in the span of a few minutes, pretty much. Like, it's just, my body is pretty much constantly uncomfortable, like wherever I am practically. It's very rare. Okay, so right now, let's just say right now, I don't want to jinx it, I am comfortable right now. Where I did park for this video, for this stream, it's like the one little tiny bit of shade I could find behind the building. And it actually looks, even though there's like dumpsters and like trucks and stuff behind, like, you know, there's stuff back here, but it's not too bad. If I did flip the image for this to show you guys the parking lot, it looks pretty nice right now. It's a beautiful day. I don't think I'm gonna flip the image because I don't want to mess with the stream too much. And you know, I did have that issue with my first stream yesterday, not working properly. And I was saying yesterday, I was wondering if maybe part of the reason for that was because I just got this new phone. I'm streaming from a new phone today, right now, and yesterday, I got my new phone the day before yesterday, or the night before yesterday, technically on Friday night. Pretty unplanned, you know, I was really against getting one, and I'm still upset that I got it, honestly. But my old photos from my previous phone are still syncing. Even today, like right now, it looks like they're still trying to sync to this new phone. So I don't want to mess with my phone too much right now. Kind of scared to like touch it or do anything. Like, I usually am just, I'm afraid to do anything, pretty much always. Like, anything that I try to say or do, it's just like this big bomb waiting to go out. Like, it's just a disaster waiting to happen, pretty much. Or it's just gonna mess things up, make it worse, blah, 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 etc., etc. You get the idea. But with that being said, before I forget, I am, of course, yes, very anxious about this stream not posting properly, but I have a plan for that. In previous videos that I've done, I have purposely made like really ugly faces, especially towards the end of the videos, because usually it seems to be like the latter half of the videos rather than the start that don't post properly when that kind of thing happens. So before I started this stream, I had my phone kind of down here, like in my lap, like in my hand. It was looking up at my face. And you know how there's that joke that sometimes when people have their phone like down like this and it's looking up at them and they're looking down at it, your face in the camera screen can look like Shrek. Well, that's exactly how I look. Oh, it's 12:30 on the dot. So yeah, before I started this, I was looking down at my phone in my hands, and I could see, I opened up the YouTube app I was getting ready to start this stream, and when you first open up the app and you get to start things up, before you actually go live, you will see how you look on camera, like as a preview. And I looked worse than I usually have ever seen myself. That's one of the worst angles for me, one of the worst lighting. I look very, very awful, very haggard. So what I think I'm gonna do, I was gonna start my stream that way, but I think, yeah, I'm actually gonna do what I would normally do and wait till the end. So at the end of the stream, I did write this down so that I wouldn't forget. I better not forget this, but at the end of the stream, I am gonna move my camera. Again, since that'll be towards the end of the stream, I'll be less concerned about me moving the phone, messing it up or whatever. I don't know. I want to think that I could, but I'm gonna put it back. I'm gonna get that angle. I'm gonna put it down here in my hands. I'm gonna have it looking up at me. I'm gonna look down at it. I'm gonna get that angle for you guys so you can see just how bad I look that way. And that way, if this stream doesn't post, or especially if the end doesn't post, great, because I can't stress enough how awful I look in that angle. That's one of the worst ways I've ever seen myself. It's pretty awful. But that's gonna be it's worse. It's definitely worse to me in my mind than most of the purposely, especially ugly faces I've made in other videos before. You know, so that's my plan for the stream. Again, it does look like my old photos are still trying to sync, and I don't know how to manually myself choose whether my phone is currently trying to sync the photos. I don't know how to pause the syncing, basically. So when I open my Photos app, in the top left-hand corner, it'll say syncing 50,000 and then another number, this many hundred items. And then if I look back at it later, it'll say syncing paused. And I don't pause the syncing because, again, I don't know how. So my phone this new phone, of course, also has a mind of its own, or somebody else other than me is controlling it. Most likely, that's what I would imagine to be the case. So yeah, I don't know how to manually choose when I want my photo syncing to pause or resume. It just does it on its own, and I don't even know how to try to control that myself. So if I did, I would have definitely manually tried to pause the syncing to start this stream, to try to prevent the syncing from interfering with the stream. But again, I just don't know how to do that. And also, if I knew how to control that, I would not have the syncing pause other times. Like, I really would have wanted, when I got back to the apartment after being here at the gym last night, when I got back, the syncing on my phone had again paused itself. So I think sometimes I can figure out how to resume the syncing, but I still don't know how to pause it. Or I don't know. But I got it to go back to syncing the photos, but even in doing that, it just doesn't seem to last. Like, yeah, if I choose that, moments later or whenever I go back to check on my phone and look at it again, it'll say that it had paused the syncing by itself. It just decided on its own to pause the syncing. And it will say something like, syncing has been automatically paused to conserve data or to save battery. I've seen those two things. So I don't really, and then it will ask me though, like, do you want to resume syncing? And I'll choose yes, but even with me choosing yes, it just, again, like later on, not very much later on after that, it'll pause the syncing on its own. So there's still a lot of more recent photos that I had taken on my old phone that still haven't synced up with this one. And I don't know, I'm gonna give it a little bit more time. As of now, I'm thinking I'm probably gonna have to go back to the phone store for a fourth time. I had to go there twice on Friday to do this whole stupid process with this new phone, and then I actually got up early. That's pretty much why I was up early yesterday. I got up really early in the morning to get to the phone store again yesterday before they opened. And now if I'm able, well, I probably won't have time to do it today because after this stream, I am going to try to go into the gym and get a workout. But who knows? I mean, if I would be able to squeeze it in today, probably not, but I'm going to try to get back to this phone store as soon as I can, probably, because I'm just assuming as of now, based on how things have been going, it probably won't work on its own. I'm probably going to have to go back to the phone store to try to get assistance with this, more assistance, because yeah. And also, yeah, in watching I did try to do the 2 streams yesterday. The first one which didn't work, but I did watch back the second stream that I did yesterday, which did look like it posted okay. And yeah, I watched that back later on last night on my laptop. And when I watched that back, I just knew, I mean, I already knew beforehand, but I really was reminded of how, of course, I liked the first one better. I said things better, in my opinion, and more naturally the first time that I tried to do that stream. And whenever I try to re-say stuff for a second stream like that, when the first one doesn't work, it's just not natural, and I'm agitated, I'm annoyed. Of course, just trying to have to re-say all of that stuff over again. It's just not, and what I did say in that first stream that didn't post, I was like, I'm just so upset of wasting my time like this and wasting my money, wasting my energy, but especially wasting my money. And I just was so adamant about not breaking down and not giving in and getting this new stupid phone that I don't want and that I can't afford. And I was saying yesterday, like, how I just wanted to throw it out the window of my car and drive over it, But when I said that yesterday in that first stream, it sounded kind of funny to me, and I felt like it had a nice flow, whereas me saying it again now is just annoying to me. Like, I was in a very bad mood when I did that first stream yesterday, but I still would have liked it better than the second one. I liked the bad mood that I was in. I thought it was funny. It was honest, it was real, it was natural, and there was also a progression where I started off that stream in a very bad mood and kind of gradually progressed into a much better mood talking about my favorite manager. And I really would have loved to have been able to watch that back and watch that progression happen on camera like that. But it's gone forever, apparently, except for whoever else like hacks into that stuff and maybe keeps the first copies for themselves or some stupid crap like that. I don't know. Don't want to think about it. It's just annoying. It's also really embarrassing and annoying to me that to try to have this post properly or other streams, I have to try to think of like really embarrassing, unflattering things that I can do, embarrassing, damning things that I can say and do in order to try to have a stream post properly after having just gotten this new stupid phone. Like, if my YouTube streams are still gonna mess up to the extent that they were before in my old phone, then it's like, yeah, no surprise there, but still, that's obviously really a bummer, and I really do. I just want to throw this phone out the window of my car, run it over, and just drive away and be done with it. You know what I mean? I do regret getting this new phone. I regret it. It's such a drain on me. It's such a drain on my energy, my mindset, my soul. Like, I don't like technology. I really don't. There's parts of it that are okay, but it's just not for me, really, for the most part. I'm really upset that my old photos and videos still haven't synced properly. Like, that's all I wanted, really, on my new phone, was to be able to do my YouTube and to have my old pictures and videos, just to be able to finally access my own work, my old stuff, just pictures and videos. I just wanted that stuff, just to finally be able to access that stuff again, because I wasn't able to access that on my old phone. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's still pretty new. I'll still at least probably end up trying to take this back to the phone store again to see if they can figure out why it's still not really working properly. Honestly, if I do end up having to take this phone back to this phone store, if, like, say after today or tomorrow or whatever, the next few days, if my old pictures and photos still haven't fully synced, if I do end up, obviously then I will end up going back to the phone store. And if I do end up having to do that, I'm actually going to mention like stuff like gang stalkers to them, or I'm gonna mention how I've been doing YouTube and I've had comments from somebody with a screen name like NSA something, like, you know, which NSA apparently works in electronics, like hacking into electronics and messing with electronics and stuff. So I'm gonna mention that stuff to them. I'm gonna be like, I think like I'm gonna be like, if they're not able to figure it out, I'll be like, well, maybe it's gang stalkers, or just to see if they've ever heard that term, or just to see what they say, like just to see their expression and to see what their response would be. Like, they'll be like, are they gonna be like, what? Or are they gonna be like, oh, okay, I gotcha. Like, I've heard that. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that one. like, like what is their response gonna be? And the 3 times that I've gone to the phone store so far recently for this, yeah, the first 2 times were on Friday night, so that time it was the same customer service guy, and then yesterday, yesterday it was somebody different. And yesterday I think I liked that guy a little better. He seemed, I don't know, he seemed like he might know a little bit more. I wasn't really there long enough to tell, but anyway. The second guy that I saw yesterday, he's the one that I would more so want to make that comment to, just to see what his response would be. That could be interesting, yeah. Or I'll be like, oh, it's got to be the Illuminati. That, I'm sure he's probably heard of that. Like gang stalkers, I don't know if he would have heard of that, but most people have probably heard of the Illuminati at this point, right? Or I'd be like, oh, I think somebody's just hacking into my phone. I get comments from somebody with the screen name of NSA something, so people hate me, apparently. I'm a targeted individual, apparently. I don't know. I first heard of the term gang stalkers here on my YouTube. Somebody left a comment about it. Up until then, I had never heard that term. And now it just is stuck in my brain, weighing down even more on my soul and my spirit. Me researching that term, almost everything that it says about it, I felt it, like, check that, it was like ding ding ding, like check mark check mark check mark. I've experienced that, so, or I feel like I have. So yeah, that's no fun. Anyways, enough of that. Yeah, in the first stream that I tried to do yesterday, the one that didn't post properly, or post at all apparently, except for the first 35 seconds, in that stream especially, I felt like it was really apparent how much I was struggling with the temperature. Because even in my second stream, I was rolling the windows up and down many times, but in the second stream, I wasn't really commenting on it. I was kind of just doing it without saying anything about it. But I had been saying a lot about it in the first stream, in the first video that I tried to do. I was rolling the windows up and down still, but that time I was like really talking about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's too hot when I don't roll them down, it's too cold when I do roll them down. I was putting the heat off and on, I was putting the AC off and on, like I just couldn't get comfortable with the temperature whatsoever, like no matter what I was trying to do. And yeah, I was also talking a bit more about how weird it felt because leaving the apartment earlier that day, I was kind of, for the most part, I was too hot in the car. It was like going back and forth between too hot and then kind of too cold again, but mostly too hot. And my face was really red. But earlier that day, yeah, I was freezing as usual. I was freezing in the apartment and that I stay at. And I was just kind of talking a lot about how weird it felt to have been so cold, like unbearably, so painfully way too cold at the apartment before I left earlier that day, like barely able to do what I had to do to get ready and to get out the door, to go out. And then how weird it felt to then go from that to being too hot, like once I was out and in my car. And it kind of was just really hammering it home even more to me how, yeah, how much I struggle just in with my physical self and with my physical surroundings. Like, you know, that apartment, I talk a lot about. I really talk about this a lot, and I apologize, but if anyone else has ever experienced this kind of thing, you would probably understand why I talk about it as much as I do. That apartment has not had heat for the past 4 winters. So 4 years, 4 winters, this has been the fourth round with no heat on in there. Now, there's different reasons for that, mainly financial. It's too expensive for me to have the heat on, but also the thermostat is broken, and I don't want to have it fixed because that would require somebody going into the apartment while I'm there. So I don't want that. I will try to avoid that at all costs. If the roof caved in, at that point I would just move out, rather than having to be there with somebody else there with me fixing it. Like, I just wouldn't. I don't like people in my space. I'm pretty sure people go in there when I'm not there because stuff has gone missing from my apartment, or from that apartment, my landlord's apartment, technically, or really. But again, I've talked about, I can't control that. If somebody's going to be gross and creepy enough to do that kind of thing, that's on them. That's their character, and I feel bad for them if that's their character, honestly. Like, but I can't control that. As far as I'm aware, I can't think of anything to do where I could try to control that, especially without spending money, and I'm not going to spend money on that kind of thing. But you know, with me actually being there in the apartment, I'm certainly not going to actively, purposely allow anybody else to come in there while I'm there. No, thank you. That's not going to happen. So yeah, I'm not going to have the thermostat fixed for that reason. I don't want anyone around me when I'm there, especially. I don't really want anyone around me most of the time anyways, but especially when I'm in what's supposed to be my own temporary rented space. So yeah, the thermostat's broken. Also, the other reason is it's just not an efficient type of area to try to heat. Like, cost-wise and utility-wise, it's a big open space, and the windows are all facing west, which that's the direction the wind usually blows from. So even if I did have the heat on for a bit, it just doesn't last. And yeah, it's just this big open room where the heat's just sapped right out, the wind's just blowing right in there. So it's just not worth the expense for me. If that wasn't the case, if the windows were on the other side, or if it was a smaller area to heat, I probably would put the heat on at least a little bit. But again, it's just not worth it because it just doesn't last. Whereas being in my car is a very small space. So, you know, if I'm to have the heat on at all in my car, like, or even just have it parked in the sun like I was yesterday, it can get pretty warm in here pretty quickly with the right conditions like that, or with the kind of conditions that are conducive to warmth, like being parked in the sun, not having it be a very windy day, having the heat on, and just the windows rolled up. It is pretty insulated in here. I mean, you can see this thing, and this car is pretty full of stuff. So yeah, like, it's all about space and how efficient it would be to do this or that to try to get a certain temperature. But also lately, back in February, at the start of February, I was saying I was going to try to start going on a little bit of a diet to try to get back in shape for the spring and the summer. And honestly, I wouldn't say that I've really been all that strict about that, or all that, like, taking it all that seriously, because at this point, I've learned the hard way far too many times that it's just not worth it for me to really bother caring about that stuff all that much. I do care to a point, just for my own personal preferences, mostly for when it comes to, like, doing pole tricks on stage, and just trying to be, you know, relatively fit in the sense of being able to move around and do the stuff that I need and want to do in day-to-day life. But, you know, when it comes to really trying to care, or really trying to pay all that much attention to trying to get all fit and trim just because I'm a stripper. You know, the club that I work at, a lot of the strippers there, the other dancers, are not in that great of shape themselves. Not to be mean, but it's just not that much of a requirement at that club, which is nice. It's nice to have a little less pressure that way. Um, I don't know, but it's just like for me, in the past, I have taken that much more seriously and I have tried a lot harder to get in shape, to be in shape, and it's just never really seemed to have that much of a positive result for me. I hardly ever make money at that club, never have, and even when I've been in better shape there, it didn't really seem to affect how people treated me, like customers. I didn't make any more money that way. I didn't get any regulars. I didn't get any more kind of like appreciation or support working there. So it just kind of felt like, for the most part, a waste of time and energy, you know, and just a waste of my, yeah, my efforts. Just a waste, you know, and I really, really can't stand that feeling. And then, you know, it's like, it is very, very cold here the majority of the year. Pretty much from September until April, May, June, July, August. So for about 4 months out of the year, July and August, way too hot. Most of the year it's freezing here, okay? And the winters especially, it's just unbearably, unbearably cold. It's freezing. So, but yeah, with me having the 4 winters without having the heat on, the first 2 years of that, it was about 50, or I'm sorry, it was the first 2 years without the heat on there, it was 60 degrees. Because even though the thermostat is broken there, I'm pretty sure the bottom half of the thermostat still works. So, you know, it's like an older thermostat. The bottom half of the thermostat is what reads the current temperature in the room, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, the first 2 winters without the heat on, it was at about 60. And because those were my first 2 winters without the heat on, I thought at that point, I thought 60 degrees was so cold, like unbearably so. But then the latter 2 years, so this past winter and the winter before that last year, or like the year before, the last 2 winters, basically, it had gone down even further from 60 degrees down an additional 10 degrees down to 50 degrees. So yeah, that was obviously a lot worse. But this past winter, out of the 4 years without the heat on, this past winter has been the only one out of those 4 years and 4 winters where I've been wearing less clothing. So yeah, the first 3 winters I was really bundled up. I had just more layers and like an additional pair of thick, heavy pants over the 2 or 3 pairs I was already wearing. And like in the stream, in the video that I did from that apartment a couple days ago on Friday morning, I was wearing the hoodie that I have been wearing for a while, the burgundy hoodie that I was wearing. But yeah, this past winter has been my first winter of just wearing that hoodie with like one tank top and one shirt underneath. So I basically have 3 layers on top, whereas the previous 3 winters, all the 3 other winters without the heat on before that, I had a big additional hoodie on top of that one. Just another really big hoodie, and yeah, another pair of pants, more pairs of socks, more hats. I had more on. So this year I had been, and yeah, the temperature has gone down like 10 degrees this year and the year before. So I wanted to think that with that combination of, you know, it being 10 degrees colder the past couple years in there, and also with me additionally wearing less layers of clothing this winter, I wanted to take that as a sign that I was finally starting to toughen up with it and get more adjusted, more acclimated to being able to handle that extreme cold. But with me having trying to be on a diet the past couple months, the heat, it has also been a little less cold out for the most part. So the heat has gone in the apartment on the thermostat. It shows that the temperature in the room has gone down from 50 degrees up back to 60. So now it's back at the 60 where it was a few years ago. And right now, with me having been on a little bit of a diet, the 60 degrees is feeling more like the 50 degrees was feeling. Whereas before I was really starting to diet, the 60 degrees almost felt warm, practically, just in comparison to the 50 degrees. In comparison to the 50 degrees, for a while there, the 60 degrees was feeling pretty okay, if not almost warm. Whereas now, like I've also started to go to the gym, go out more, and still be trying to diet a bit. So the combination of that, I'm starting to feel the effects more, and especially with my tolerance to that cold. Yeah, the 60 degrees now is feeling like the 50 had felt. And it really hit home to me just how much of a struggle it's been for me to try to be in shape and try to stay in shape with not having the heat on. My body's natural response is just, of course, going to be to want to fluff up, to gain weight and insulate itself with being in that extreme cold so much of the time. And it really does make me sad. It really does it's just a devastating feeling to think about how much it does mean to me, as much as I don't really want it to, just for my own preferences and just for health, just to want to be healthy and in shape. Like, I don't feel comfortable, when I fluff up past a certain point. When I just because yeah, a lot of me at the club that I work at is me trying to dance around on stage really fast and um, go on the pole, do pole tricks. Physical fitness really does play a big part in my ability to try to do that kind of thing, those kinds of things, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's pretty devastating, really, to realize just how much harder that makes that for me, and just how much more of a struggle it is for me with these conditions. Um, just so much working against me, and it's like I try so hard to get myself to where I feel like a little more confident, a little more proud of the body that I work so hard for, and then going on stage to try to going on stage, other people are gonna see it, and it's like not a single guy in that club is there to support me in any way, shape, or form. To be a consistent customer, consistent, regular person there to see me or to talk to me or just support me. I have had some guys there be really great and show support for me and tip me and stuff, but it is pretty rare. And when that has happened before, it's just kind of been like a one-time thing where it's like I meet them for the first time. They might be pretty great for that shift or for moments of that shift for a small time of interaction that we have. And then after that, it's just like I never see them again. Or even if I do see them again, they're just not interested anymore, or they just have moved on to another dancer, or they just want to chill out by the bar. And it's just never been a regular, consistent thing for me to have support from anybody there like that, which is really difficult, because I see a lot of other dancers there, and it's like there's such a mix of dancers that are in really great shape, like what I would consider to be perfect tens, but there's a mix of dancers like that, and then a mix of dancers that I would consider to be not so much like that, like more just kind of average, maybe even a little bit out of shape, in comparison to like what society or what some guys might possibly consider to be like more ideal or traditionally attractive. Um, there's a whole range there. There's a wide range and a total just mix, like mashup of so many different looks there and personalities. And I see such a wide range of other dancers seeming like they have regulars and seeming like they have like consistent support from people there with guys like that. Whereas for me, it's like no matter what I try to do to improve myself or get in shape, stay in shape, talk to guys, not talk to guys, seem down to earth and approachable or not, like, I've tried many different things there, and I've had many different looks there. I've had many different approaches, and I've experimented and pushed myself to try lots of different things, like techniques, and just I've tried being myself, I've tried not being myself, I've tried a lot of stuff, and nothing really seems to get me very far there. It really has just turned out and been pretty much from the start, to begin with anyways, just this way for me to try to get a workout, to try to improve myself, you know, to try to be good enough, to try, to try, to try, to try. And no matter how hard I try all these years, it's just never really gotten me very good results, unfortunately. um, I do think it got me pretty good results in the past as far as trying to get into shape, you know, and just even to this day, as far as like what I'm able to do for pole tricks and what I'm able to do on stage. Yeah, in those regards, I think I have had some semblance of success and been able to get in shape and do pretty amazing things, in my own opinion, just what I feel myself doing on stage, on the pole, and that kind of thing. But again, that really hasn't translated into any kind of noticeable, reliable, consistent support, income or support, really at all. So yeah, that has been a big struggle for me. It still is, you know, it's been for a while, it still is. But really, just with me, you know, yet again, trying to get back into this dieting mindset of, oh, I want to try to get back in shape for the club, you know, for when I go on stage, and for the spring and for the summer, get back to my summer body, you know, knowing how brief summer here is, you know, knowing how brief, how short-lived later this year, this very same year, later this year, it's just going to be winter again. Even if spring is kind of right around the corner for now, the same year it's going to be winter again. It's just always coming back around, and that's the majority of the year. So me not having the heat on and not being able to afford having the heat on in that apartment, it's like, it just adds to this feeling of just devastating impossibility. And somebody had been leaving some comments on one of, like, a few of my previous videos where I've talked about this a lot. And they were saying how, well, I've mentioned before, a big part of why I haven't applied for financial assistance is because the way things are, as far as the way that the dancers at the club that I work at, the way that things are set up there, we, there's just so many constantly changing and unpredictable variables. Like, so technically, I'm not employed by the club. Rather than them paying me or paying the other dancers to work there, we pay them. So I actually pay to work there. It's kind of considered, it's not required technically, but it's considered more of like a customary, like, social etiquette to tip the employees there. So you're kind of frowned upon if you don't do that. Like, it's kind of like an unwritten rule, if that makes sense. And the less you do that, or, you know what I mean, you're kind of, it's kind of this feeling of the more you tip, the less you hope that will lessen your chances of being treated badly or messed with, or like, it's almost like kind of like additionally paying to be messed with less, or try to be messed with less, or it's just considered bad etiquette to not tip the employees. And I used to over tip. Like, some years ago, I used to tip too much. I used to tip everything that I had actually been able to make, which wasn't really much to begin with. But there's more of a story with that I've talked a little bit about before. I don't want to really get into that too much right now, but just, you know, for me to try to apply for financial assistance, I just don't, well, first of all, I do technically have savings, so I do have money in the bank, but that's not really from stripping. That's from various other things, mostly other jobs. So, and it's this really weird conflicting situation that I find myself in where, yeah, technically I have money, technically I have the savings, but I in order to try to make that last as long as possible, not really having an actual job or much of any income coming in currently and for a while now, I just try to limit my expenses as much as I can to try to make that savings last as long as possible. So, but it's like being a stripper, the way that strippers are at the club that I work at, yeah, we pay to work there. We just never know going into a shift how it's going to be. We could go into a shift and there could be 0 customers, or there could be tons of customers, but they're taken up by other dancers, which both of those things are oftentimes the case, at least in shifts that I've worked. We could go into a shift and a number of different things could happen. You just don't know. You could go into a shift and leave in the negative. You could go into a shift, especially paying to work there. You could go into a shift and make nothing, or you could go into a shift and out of the blue, some random dude could just make it rain on you on stage. So if I were to try to declare my income and say that I make nothing, which I basically, do, it's like, all right, I say that I make nothing, which is usually the case, but then what if just by chance I'm working this shift and some random dude comes up and makes it rain on me on stage? So technically then I've made something, but I didn't know that I was going to make that. And I can't just, again, that's more of like a out of the blue kind of thing that it's very rare that kind of thing would happen. But if it does, then it's like, oh my gosh, she's lying. That's fraud. She just made an income. She just made money. But it's like, dude, I can't rely on that. I don't know that's going to happen. Like that doesn't, 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen. And there's no way for me to predict if or when it would or could, like if that happens, great. Of course, that's awesome. But more often than not, 9 times out of 10, for me personally, for me especially, that's not going to happen. No matter what I do on that stage, like that's just, and I do work the slower shifts. I mean, I have reasons for not doing the busier shifts, like anxiety, allergies, etc. So I have some weird circumstances going on top of all of that. But I just really have had this fear for a long time. I just don't want to like accidentally lie. Like if I were to apply for assistance, like what? It's also kind of like this not unwritten rule, but unwritten thing where it's like, anytime anyone hears the word stripper, there's just that stereotype and connotation of, oh, you make so much money, but how would I try to explain to whichever service I would be trying to apply for assistance with, how would I try to explain that for me being a stripper, it's more so just to try to get a workout and do something with my day or my night, like just do something with myself, like other than lay in bed and be miserable and depressed. Like, how do I try to explain in a way that people would actually be able to understand or believe? Like, I don't think anyone would really be able to believe or understand it unless they experience it for themselves. Because again, there's just that stereotype that comes along with being a stripper. To actually try to do it, it's like, yeah, most of the shifts I do, there really aren't hardly any guys in the club that come in for customers. And the few guys that do, they'll usually it'll work out to where other dancers end up with them first, or they just want to be with another dancer. For a lot of guys, I'm just not their type, or they just aren't interested in me. And vice versa. Like if a guy maybe does want to hang out with me, they might be somebody that just really makes me uncomfortable and tries to get too handsy, has said or done things that have really freaked me out before, to where I just kind of don't want to spend time with them. So it's just a lot of weird, difficult factors like just that combine to make this really weird, confusing, difficult situation for me. And yeah, it's like, so technically if I were to try to fill out a form, like a paper, it's like, well, do I say that I'm unemployed? Because technically I am unemployed. But then if like somebody were to find out or hear that word stripper, it's like, oh, that's fraud. She's lying. She must make so much money. And really I don't. But then, yeah, it's like, oh, okay. So out of the blue, I'm just working a shift. Some random dude comes along, makes it rain on me. But even then, it might look like, oh my gosh, like she must do so well, because there's all these dollar bills all over the stage. This never happens for me, by the way. I think that that's happened to me once, maybe in the past 2 years, probably. Like, I've been rained on that I can recall probably one time in the last, like, probably 2 years, or for a while. Like, it just doesn't happen for me like that. Other dancers, it seems like it happens pretty often, but you just can't really tell. You just can't really predict how it's going to go like that. Where actually for me, I kind of can predict that 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen for me. But even then, say that it does, those are usually pretty much going to be dollar bills. They're $1 bills. So it might look like a lot, like visually as an illusion, like you're seeing the stage full of dollar bills, let's say. But if you add all those dollar bills together, what's it gonna amount to? Like $100? A lot of times less than that. Or maybe if it's like a really good stage, or just for other dancers, maybe it might be a couple hundred. That's less than most bills. You know what I mean? Like, that's still not actually that much money when it comes to how much things cost. And like in comparison to, yeah, it looks like a lot when it's all spread out as single dollar bills on a stage floor, maybe. It's just like anything else there. It's part of the illusion. The lights, the smoke, the mirrors. It's kind of like the smaller of an increment you break things down into, the more it's going to look like, the more volume it's going to look like. It's like if you were to break it down into pennies. Like, let's say, like somebody's carrying around this big sack of pennies, and somebody else points and looks and says, hey, you're so lucky, you're so, look at you with all your pennies, you have so many pennies, look how much you have, you big fat greedy pig. Do you really need all those pennies? Look at how many pennies you have. Look at all those pennies. You don't need to want or beg for, or ask for anything more. You have so many pennies. But it's like, yeah, they're pennies. If you add them all up, what do they amount to? Like, for actual currency to buy things. Visually, it's going to look like a lot because it's broken down into pretty much the smallest increment possible. So that's kind of how strippers are, like, treated in a sense. It's like, oh my gosh, the stripper, like, throw these dollar bills. Look at all these dollar bills. Look at how well you're doing. Look at how great it is to be a stripper. Dollar bills, dollar bills. If you add all those dollar bills together, I mean, it's such a small increment. You add them together, it's like, does that even cover one of your bills? It's like, and then it's like, yeah, it's like kind of this unwritten feel of, well, just, you're considered to be conventionally attractive enough, I guess, to have been hired, or not even actually hired, because again, it's not an actual job, but people might look at it as, well, you're considered attractive enough to be able to work there as a stripper. Like, the club is allowing you to work there as a stripper and go on stage and talk to guys and try to make money that way. So if you're not making money, try a little harder. Talk to them more, do more. Or if you have to, just outside of the club, if that's what it's going to take. Like, I feel like if I were to try to apply for assistance, they would just be like, you have all the opportunity, like, you have blonde hair and blue eyes, and like here in my YouTube, not that that's, but like, I mean, people can be considered like attractive enough to hustle other guys or people for money, no matter what they look like, but it's like that all-American good looks, like conventionally attractive, like, oh, like people might look at me in my YouTube and see like people that might not know my backstory or know the actual details. If I pose for a thumbnail, like I do for my, if I pose for a screenshot, like I usually do for my thumbnails on most of my videos when I'm able to do so, people that might not actually know my story, they might look at that picture and see reasonably attractive looking, depending on who you're asking or who's looking, but some people might see the blonde hair and the blue eyes and me posing with a nice enough looking smile for me to come across as attractive enough. You know what I mean? Attractive enough to have stuff to work with enough to where I should be able to do at least something to support myself. You know what I mean? But then it's like people that do actually know my story, or if anybody actually would like have watched enough of my videos to know my actual story and situation, it's like, well, this is not real hair, okay? This is a wig. This is actually two wigs. Underneath this, I am bald because my body has been through a lot, and I don't know exactly why I am bald because I don't go to doctors or have health insurance, but I am. If somebody's to say, okay, so there goes the blonde hair, and then it's like, oh, well, all American good looks, you know, you should be considered conventionally attractive enough by society to do at least something to support yourself that way. Use those looks enough to hack it on your own. Okay, well, the blue eyes, if you look closely, I don't have eyelashes, okay? I don't have eyebrows as well. I draw on my eyebrows and I don't have eyelashes. Now, I might be crazy, okay, but I'm not crazy enough to pluck out my own eyelashes to try to garner a little sympathy or, ouch, to try to even imagine how painful that would be to pluck out all of your eyelashes like that. Even just plucking, I used to have eyebrows at one point, of course, and when I had eyebrows, yes, I would pluck them like around the perimeters to try to shape them. Even just like back when I used to be able to when I used to have eyebrows and pluck them, that stuff hurt. That would hurt. But to try to plug out your own eyelashes like that, like, come on, that, holy crap. Really imagining that like hurts to just think about. But yeah, so okay, so blonde hair, blue eyes. Yeah, no, I don't have actual hair, and I don't have eyelashes on my eyes, okay? So my body is very compromised and sick. And then it's like, well, if you look at my videos with me in my car here like this, I just so happen to be able to sometimes find like kind of decent lighting and get a pretty good angle with how I do my videos in my car, where I feel like I do look a little better than I normally would doing my videos from my car like this, which is why I tend to do the majority of my videos like this here from my car. Whereas if you're to watch some of my other videos that I've done from other locations, such as the videos that I've done from inside the club, which, hello, that's where I'm trying to look the most attractive. But if you look at my videos from inside the club, I look horrendous. And that's where I'm trying to look attractive and make money. So you might be able to understand a little more why I'm not able to make money there, because I look like crap when I'm there most of the time, like even worse. Like, and then especially if you watch my recent video that I did from the apartment that I stay at, the video that I did this Friday morning from that apartment. Dude, you see how I look in that video? So me trying to hustle guys or use whatever looks I might try to have to try to make money that way in whatever form, whatever shape, whatever way that might be, inside the club or out of the club, people might think that that's like more of a possibility for me if they're just looking at my videos that I do here in my car, where I kind of don't look as bad. But then if you watch my other videos, yeah, from in the club or from in that apartment that I did on Friday, most of the time I look like crap. I'm not actually that attractive. Most of the time I look pretty ugly. I look pretty bad. Like, so with that in mind, that might help people understand a little more why it's so difficult for me to try to make money. Again, I have seen other dancers at the club that might not be considered that traditionally attractive seem to do well, but those other dancers that seem to be able to do that, even if they're a little bit less conventionally attractive, or they seem to have the kind of personality where they're just a stronger, more resilient, maybe just a tougher chick, just more confidence, or they just don't take crap from people. Whereas I might try to be like that as best I can, like fake it till you make it, but that's honestly, that's not how I am. I'm a pretty nice person to the point of being too nice, and too soft. Yeah, just I'm very feminine for the most part. I might be physically strong enough to go on the pole and do pole tricks. You know, in the wintertime, I might be physically strong enough to shovel a bunch of snow. But other than that, my personality and my spirit and however my hormones might be, I'm very soft, I'm very feminine, I'm very sensitive. And I'm really not that tough, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I try to be, but it's a huge struggle also, that stuff for me. And guys can absolutely sense that. Of course they can. And they do use that to their advantage. Of course they do. That's just how people are. That's just how society is. That's just how the world is. So, yeah, for anyone that would like hear the term stripper and then maybe watch a YouTube video of me from my car, she ought to be able to make money. She's a stripper and, you know, she looks decent enough to at least do something. But then, yeah, if you see me in everyday, day-to-day life without the exact specific angles and lighting to try to make myself look a little better, most of the time I really look and feel like crap, and that translates in my ability to actually kind of really do well or support myself. So I'm very lucky to have the savings that I have for now. But yeah, it's like I don't actually have a current income, and it's been that way for a while to where it drives me crazy. You know, a lot of the crazy things that I say on here and a lot of the crazy ways that I probably come across and my paranoia and my extreme stress, I'm being driven crazy by financial stress and just the impossibility of the circumstances that I find myself in and that I've found myself in for a while now. So it's not that I don't want to try to help myself or figure this out. I try every day to try to think about what I might be able to do to try to make my situation a little better. Um, Also, I haven't been sexually active for a very long time, and I am somebody that has sexual trauma. So it's not like, you know, I could just get a sugar daddy or just get a boyfriend or just try to get married or do more with guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, technically, maybe I could force myself to try to do that kind of stuff, but at what cost for my mental health and my physical health? And, you know, it's not like I'm a virgin. It's not like I've never been sexually active. Of course, I had been sexually active in the past at some points, but that always seemed to make things worse for me rather than better. Um, especially my mental health, like because I have so much like sexual trauma and just trauma in general, I very actively do not want to be sexually active. I'm very adamant about that. I just know how bad that kind of thing is for me, and I've learned that the hard way as well, very many times in the past. So I just don't really see that as an option for me. I guess a lot of guys would be like, well, you're lucky enough to at least be a female, so at least you technically have that option to try to survive in this world, which, yes, that's probably true. But again, it does still come at a cost for, especially for somebody like me. You know, it just wouldn't be worth it. And me looking like everyday, day-to-day life, me looking more along the lines of how I look in my videos that I've done from the club and the video that I did from the apartment, when I'm not really specifically controlling the angles and the lighting to try to get to try to look better. Like, yeah, guys see that, how I actually really am, which is pretty ugly, and they, you know, that can lead to very bad treatment and abusive relationships, abusive treatment. And it certainly has in the past. You know, the different types of relationships I had with other people in the past, for the most part, were abusive. Not so much in the physical sense. It's not like they were beating me up or like anything too extreme, but I would say more in the mental and the emotional sense, just how I was being treated overall and the things that they would say and do just otherwise outside of the physical sense, I guess. Just, yeah, like mental, emotional stuff. I don't know, just, I don't know if gaslighting would be the word, or just being disrespected, you know, verbally and just with other types of stuff that they would do. So, and I would say even with some of my family members, I've had kind of borderline abusive treatment like that, where verbally and just emotionally, the treatment towards me has been pretty mean, pretty disrespectful. Not physical abuse, but disrespectful and rude and careless enough to where I would kind of almost consider it borderline emotional abuse, like mental emotional, you know. So anyway, um okay, I started this video at 2:20. It's just after 1:20. So I think we're at just over an hour. Or should be anyway. Um Oh, and on that note, oh my gosh. Okay, so that reminds me of what I was just saying. How I was just saying how in most lighting with most angles, but other than this angle that I have with my phone in my car right now that I think is kind of okay, pretty much any other angle or lighting situation with me on camera or just otherwise in person, etc., you can see how ugly I actually am. And that reminds me of me wanting at the end of the stream, oh, there's a plane landing. I was gonna take the phone and put it here so that it's looking up at me, I'm looking down. Then you guys can really see, and then you guys can really see why I'd be struggling as much as I am. So bad. Oh gosh. So I have more notes. You know, that wasn't even, most of that was just kind of, I wasn't really looking at my notes for that stuff, but I have notes here. But because this is already over an hour and I do want to get into the gym, and also, yeah, my first stream yesterday didn't post, so I'm trying to keep these on the shorter side just in case, just in case, you know, they don't post. It's a little bit of a time, less of a, the shorter my videos are, if they don't post properly, the shorter they are, the less time that I'm wasting if they don't post properly. So, but I do have more stuff that I have written down that I wanted to talk about as usual. I think, so yeah, a lot of what I have written down that I had wanted to try to squeeze into this video, most of it I probably won't be able to squeeze in right now. I'm going to put it off for another time. A couple other things I do want to try to squeeze in before I sign off right now. I was talking a lot about my favorite manager in the video that I did yesterday. I mean, I talk about him a lot just in general. But I was talking a lot about him again yesterday. I'm not wearing a corset right now because I'm going into the gym and I just, I forgot to mention in that video yesterday, the second one, well, both of them. Anyway, I forgot to mention yesterday, I had actually had a dream about him earlier. There's another plane landing. Why can't I hear them right now? Usually I feel like I can hear the planes. Maybe that's just when they take off. I thought I could hear them. I thought I could hear them when they land too, but I can't hear them right now. Anyway, I had actually had a dream about that manager before, like earlier, when my sleeping time before doing those videos. So I guess the night before or the morning before. Yes, I had a dream about him, and I kind of forgot about that, but I don't really dream about him very often. Hardly ever. Like, I think about him a lot, but I don't really dream about him a lot. But I had a dream. He had been in one of my dreams before doing those videos. 1:30 on the dot, and it was a pretty good dream. I mean, it wasn't like too crazy or too like explicit or anything, but it was nice. I mean, I don't know. It was. I mean, I won't go into detail or anything with that, but again, it wasn't too crazy or anything, but I don't know, I felt close to him in that dream, you know, like spiritually and I guess a little bit physically also, in a sense. I don't know. We were just having fun really. Like it was like friendly, but also a little bit more than friendly, but not like a whole lot, but a little, like it was just nice. I don't know. It was, again, I don't really hardly ever dream about him, so I don't know. Anyway, I kind of wish that I did more, but then again, it's probably better that I don't. Also, what else was it? Oh, okay. So I was also talking in my video yesterday about how I was really upset. I still am, and I probably always will be. I was really upset how at the club, they recently cleaned out all the dressing rooms there. And when I say cleaned out, by that I mean they threw everything away. All the stuff that we had in those dressing rooms, like just nice stuff to have, thrown away. Clothes, accessories, a lot of stuff that I had brought in and donated. So outfits, they threw away an entire beanbag. It was a nice beanbag too. It was this white, soft, furry, kind of fluffy, shaggy fabric. It was really soft and really comfortable, really nice. I brought in a pillow with it. It was all out of the way. It was all under the counters. Like nobody was, it wasn't in any kind of foot traffic area. It was completely out of the way of foot traffic. It was just off to the side, underneath the counters, completely out of the way, that stuff. I also had brought in these cabinets of like, with the clothes that I brought in, they were in these nice cabinets. So the cabinets, I brought in 2 of them. They were technically made out of plastic, but these ones in particular looked really nice. They were kind of like a burgundy color, and to where they looked like they could have been furniture. Like they had more of a, even though they were plastic technically, it had this kind of look to them where they looked and seemed more like, almost like wood furniture. That's, if somebody didn't know, like if somebody didn't know and just looked at them from across the room, they might just look at them and just think that they were wooden furniture pieces until they actually got up close and actually like saw closer up and felt them. But yeah, especially from a distance away, they would probably just look like wooden furniture. And they had like a nice classy look to them, like a nice, not super classy obviously because they still are plastic or were plastic, but just in comparison to most plastic stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, because I had other plastic stuff like that was totally different, like same size, same shape, still the 3 drawers, but the other ones that I had, and I still have some of them in the apartment that I stay at now, but those ones are like cheaper looking and like the clear kind of tacky looking plastic. Whereas those ones, those were the nicest ones that I had actually. Those ones they had more of a furniture kind of nice look to them. And a texture on the outside too. It's kind of hard to explain. I wish I had gotten pictures more with that kind of stuff, but they threw those away. They threw all the clothes away that were in those. I just don't understand it. I really don't, especially since they were so out of the way. Not bothering anybody, not in the way, just, and I was gonna say, I talked about that yesterday, but what I forgot to add to that, they did at least give us a heads up that they were gonna be doing that, but, so when they gave us the heads up about it, They kind of, it was very brief and it wasn't a very detailed heads up. They put up little pieces of paper, just various different places in the club, and it said, you know, like, they basically made it sound like any loose clothing or just like stuff that was left around on the countertops, kind of just like in the way, um, would be removed. Or honestly, it was more of a locker thing, because they've done this in the past with locker cleanouts. Like, basically what you're supposed to do for the dancers, you're supposed to fill out this form with the locker number on it and your dancer name, so that all of the lockers that aren't claimed with the sheet of paper with somebody's name and the locker number, all of the other lockers that are like unclaimed get opened up and cleaned out. So even if there's a lock on those, if they're not claimed on a sheet of paper, they will cut the locks with a lock cutter and just go into the locker and throw everything away in the locker. So in order to not have that happen, like for somebody to not have that happen to the locker that they're using, they have to get a form in the office and fill it out and claim that locker on a sheet of paper that they put in their files. So of course I did that for my locker, but with the dressing room cleanouts, they made it sound like they were pretty much mostly just going to be doing that. And we kind of heard from word of mouth also that, yeah, like stuff that was in the way, like stuff that was more just like kind of scattered like on the countertops, and maybe stuff that like wasn't, we kind of knew that stuff that really looked like a mess was going to be thrown away. But I specifically asked the manager, not my favorite manager by the way, but a different manager, the one that was kind of talking more about this, and I think this might have been more of like his idea almost, it seemed, but because he's like more of the strict type people there. He's nice, he's still a nice guy, but he's more on the strict side with stuff. He had been talking like weeks prior to this happening, and so we kind of heard a little bit more from him and just word of mouth from each other that, yeah, some stuff might be thrown away if it was in the way, or if it was just kind of messy looking, like on the countertops or whatever. But I did specifically ask that manager about the beanbag, because yeah, that was my beanbag that I had brought in, and I did feel that it was very out of the way, because it was. And I did ask him about that. I was like, oh, like we're still gonna be able to keep the beanbag, right? And he said, yeah. He was like, oh, I don't think they would bother to throw away a beanbag. And he kind of just like laughed and smiled a little bit about, like, the vibe that I got, and from what I could hear him saying, I didn't get the feel, or I didn't think they were really going to go as far as to throw that away, like to throw that stuff away. Because I made a point to ask about it, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to just assume that it was safe and that it would be okay. I did ask, and he said that they probably wouldn't be throwing that kind of thing away. I guess maybe I should have tried to ask other managers more about it, or like really push the issue more, like just to really try to make sure. But again, I just really didn't think that they would go that far as to throw that stuff away too, because again, why would they? Like, why would they bother to do that? Like, I just don't understand it. Like, why they would feel that would be necessary, or, and you know, because honestly, they've done this kind of thing in the past too, where they've cleaned off the countertops a bit and like under the counters, but stuff just builds right back up. Like, that's just the way that dancers and people are. Like, you know, if you're in a space for long enough, people leave their stuff out, and it becomes more of a homey feel sometimes. Like, it's just more of a communal space. People just keep using it, and a lot of times it's the same kind of people using the same kind of space, if their locker's in there, or if they go in if a dancer uses a particular dressing room in particular a lot, like, they're gonna eventually leave their stuff in there or on the counter. Like, not me per se, because I don't trust my stuff out anywhere. I'm very like anxious about that kind of stuff, and this is part of why, you know, like, but it sucks. Like, people should be able to just not have it be a complete pigsty, but just feel comfortable to leave a few things out and just share them, or just kind of have at least that kind of comfort level of not having to have everything be meticulous and perfect and like it's not even being lived in at all, you know, because I don't know, that's just not practical. It's just a bummer, and it's not practical because it's like when you do spring cleaning and it's like everything is like when I just did spring cleaning in the apartment that I stay at recently, it's like, okay, like at the end of that, it's like the countertops are clean and practically bare and everything looks so much better. But then you know that going forward, you're just gonna have to like kind of mess it up again. Like it's not gonna stay that way. You're going to have to keep living and using that space and doing stuff, and it's gonna get messy again. Like that's just part of going forward and continuing to do stuff. Like you can't just, you know, clean something and step back and never use it again unless it's that kind of situation. But if you continue to keep staying in that space and keep using stuff there, like people often do, you know, with stuff like I was going to be doing with that apartment, and I have been since I did the spring cleaning a couple weeks ago, and like most dancers at the club are going to keep using those dressing rooms in those same areas. Like we're just going to keep going forward and using those same spaces, so it's going to get messy again. But I don't know, with my stuff in particular, like with the cabinets and the bean bags, again, they were way out of the way. Like they were not in the traffic areas. They were nice things to have, you know. It's nice to have little, you know, creature comforts like that and things to share with people. And just, I don't know, it really does bum me out. I just don't understand it, you know. I can understand it to a point, but definitely not very much. I definitely can't fully understand it, or even that much at all, really. Like that kind of thing just seems like it's taken way too far. Like it's just too extreme to just throw everything away like that, you know, like just everything. Like come on, like it just doesn't make sense. I don't know. But I just wanted to re-mention some of that because I wanted to add in the detail that I did make a point to ask about that. Like it's not like I just didn't bother, like I just assumed like it was going to be okay. Like I did ask, and they said that they weren't going to throw away the beanbag or the cabinets, like, well, particularly the beanbag. And then when they said that it was okay with the beanbag, I kind of just assumed the cabinets, because why would you do that? Like that's just, anyway, I'm just gonna let it go for now. What else can I do? Okay, so I'm about to go into the gym. It's about to be 1:45. Crap. I was gonna say, I don't think I'm gonna be able to have time. I don't think I'm gonna have time to be able to do the full 99-minute workout like I normally would on the treadmills here. I was doing my streams from the same area yesterday. So yesterday I did my streams before going into the gym. When I went into the gym after, I really struggled. I didn't end up jogging or running. I was on the treadmill, and I did stay on the treadmill for the full 99-minute workout, but I walked for all of that. I did occasionally, a couple times, try to start to jog, because normally I would jog for most of that. But yeah, occasionally I did try to start to jog, and I just couldn't do it. Going into the gym that day, I didn't even think I was going to be able to go in at all, like when I first got there. But then I did my streams and I felt a little more up to it after doing my YouTube videos. But yeah, it wasn't a great workout. I walked for like 99% of it pretty much. But I still got over 5 miles with the walking. So, you know, when I jog for most of the 99-minute workout like that, I get usually around 7 miles, 7 or 8. I consider 7 miles to be pretty good though. So, I mean, that's, to me, I don't know, that doesn't really seem like that much of a difference though, because it's so much more of an effort to jog that entire time, or most of that time, to get the 7 miles. Whereas realizing that I can still get 5 miles with walking the entire time, it's like that's only a 2-mile difference, and it doesn't really sound like that much. While walking for all of that time rather than jogging for most of it, the walking's just so much easier for me, you know? So yeah, I don't know. But even with the walking for most of that workout, I was so agitated and so uncomfortable. I really didn't want to do very long for that workout. I did still manage to do the full workout for the full 99 minutes, but it was a very gradual process where I kind of just, as the time went on, I kind of just kept pushing myself to stick it out. But even like my first 20 minutes in, I came so close to just calling it 20 minutes. Or like the first half hour, I was like almost going to be done at the half hour. I was just itchy. I was so itchy and just hot and uncomfortable and just agitated. I was really, really, really irritated like that entire time. I was just irritated. And I don't know, it almost feels like I'm PMSing earlier lately. Like my PMS is just coming on sooner or earlier. Like I can't even put into words how irritated I feel. Like just not as much right now. I don't know. We'll see how I feel in a minute going in there. But yesterday I was feeling so irritated. I think it's mostly because of how hot I had been that day in the car. And just like not understanding why I was so hot when I had been so cold earlier and like pretty much all the time, the other time, like for the months of this winter, just constantly so cold. And then it's like, I just couldn't understand why I was so hot in the car, like that day, later that day. And me trying to do my streams and, you know, having all these issues as usual, even with this new stupid phone that I just want to check out the window and drive over. God. So yeah, and then there was like towards the end of that workout, there was this noise that I was hearing. It was like this weird kind of like staticky noise, and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I don't know if it was coming from one of the other treadmills or like workout machines, or if it was coming from one of the speakers. There's no music playing at this gym, and there used to be, like not that long ago, they used to have music playing here, and they don't anymore. They haven't anymore for a while. It's just so boring here now. Like I pretty much just look out the window because they have a nice big open window to look that overlooks the parking lot. So I just kind of like obsessively stare at my car out the window if I can like park where I see my car, or if I'm able to park where I can see my car through that window. But and it's like they have these TVs and the TVs don't have volume. They're all set to like the most boring channels they can possibly find. I kid you not. It's like they specifically choose the most boring channels and just they leave all the TVs set. There's like a bunch of different TVs, but and for the most part they're set to different channels, but a few of them are set to the same one, and there's no audio, no volume. And they're just the most boring channels, and they never change. They're always set to the same channels as the last time I was here. They're just like over and over and over the most boring channels they can find. And it's like it's just like why, you know, just like so many things. It's just why do people have to be to where things are this bad? Like some people do have the power. Even everyday people can have whatever little bit of power they might be able to have to make things better, even if it's in a small way, like the smallest way, like changing a TV channel, putting the music on, like having it be good music or a good channel on the TV, like just little, like just simple little things that should be simple enough. Like people, and it's like they so much of the time it's like they just don't bother, or they just don't, or they purposely choose to just have things be awful. Like I just don't get it. Whoever was cleaning out those dressing rooms, I don't know if it was one person or two people or a few people, but if it was one person or if it was a group of people, that one person could have decided, hey, I don't need to throw away this beanbag or this clothing in the cabinets that's completely tucked away and out of the way. Like somebody could have made that decision, like just, you know, some sense of like self decency, or just like I don't even know how to put it. Like they could have just, or were they specifically given instructions to throw everything away? Well, whoever gave them the instructions to throw everything away, they could have made a different decision. Could have they? Couldn't they? They could have said or decided something else, not so harsh and extreme and just having such negative effects and consequences on the world around them or the people around, like maybe not the world around them, but the smaller, like the club, the people around them in the club, like just their everyday little world kind of thing. I don't know, but hello. That's a big truck. Hello. Goodbye, please. 53613. That's the number on the back of the truck. I don't know what that means. I don't want to either. maybe I do. No, I don't. No, I don't. No. Yeah. Or like if it was a few different people that were cleaning up the dressing rooms, if it was a group of people, couldn't one of them have spoken up and said, hey, maybe we don't need to throw all of this stuff away. Like, maybe we could, you know, just, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, anyway. It's 1:50, so almost 2 o'clock. I'm gonna get into the gym in a minute here. I don't think I'm even gonna have enough time to do the full 99-minute workout today. But hey, whatever. I don't know. It's at least better than nothing, I want to think. I don't know. I hope you guys are well. I hope I'm able to come on tomorrow. I'm gonna try to come on tomorrow if I can, or after that will be Tinka Tuesday after tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna try to come back on sooner than later. I'm really happy that I was able to get to do this with you guys today. I hope you guys are well out there, and I'm gonna peace out for now, but until next time. Oh, okay, all right. I really hope this posts properly, and on that note, I can't forget this part, the most important part of all. Oh, all right. I'm about to move my phone, and I'm about to do the thing. Oh crap. Oh my gosh. All right, real quick, let me just try again to maybe, if that allows this video to post okay, then let's try to get a decent thumbnail first maybe. I don't know. Oh god. It's such a mess. You guys, this is actually where I parked when I did the video. I had the red earmuffs, and the title of that video was "Should I Become a Pilot?" Because this is near the airport. And oh, you know what's weird? So my phone still hasn't synced all of my old pictures and videos, but where it paused, or where the syncing paused, the most recent photos that it had synced and had uploaded onto my new phone, it was part of those pictures where I was wearing the red earmuffs and doing my thumbnails for the "Should I Be a Pilot" video. And I was parked pretty much, not in the same exact spot, but pretty much in the same general location behind the gym, like behind the building. Anyways. Wait. I'm pretty sure for that video I could hear the planes taking off though, because I remember I did this when or maybe I was just seeing them, but I feel like usually when there's planes I can hear them and see them, like in this area. Anyways, okay, so that's cute, right? Like me just like right here right now doing that, like that's kind of cute. We're about to get a drastic difference. So I do have a wide range. I have a wide range, okay? I could totally be an actress because my range is just incredible. All right, here we go. R.I.P. Oh my gosh. Going on a little ride, and then, wait, that's not as bad as before. Not bad. I can't. Oh my god. Okay, the ridiculously extreme measures that I feel the need to try to go to sometimes in the name of what exactly? In the name of this maybe actually posting okay, I guess. Holy crap, that was painful, and it still is. Dude, there's such a difference though. Like, that's such a difference. I don't understand it. Okay, I need to go now. Wish me luck. Or don't, but probably please do. I'll be needing it. I always do. Okay. I'm gonna go now. It's 1:55. That was fun though. All right. Bye for now, guys. Till next time. Oh boy. Oh boy. 95 minutes. Holy crap. Moving my rubber band. Okay. Okay, bye for now. Till next time.